Gratitude. Gratitude. This is very important, gratitude, because we all deserve to have the attitude of gratitude and the attitude of gratitude to be vibrated in us. And that's just what we're doing. Here in this Vibecast, it's me, David Dimitri. We're live in color. This is what we do. David Dimitri live in color. YouTube, we're live right now. That's right. We are live right now. David Dimitri live in color. We're live. That's right. On YouTube.com. David Dimitri live in color. On YouTube.com. We're also live on the OWU channel. OWU, O-W-U, acronym of Original World Union. That's the other YouTube. That's right. And we're going in on these elections because that's what we have to do. It is time to vote. It is November 5th. November 5th, 2025. And this is what we're doing. We're not waiting for, we're not waiting for things to take control of us. We're going to take control of them. The title is The Elections 2024 Are Fake. Oops, too late. I put wake up on the Facebook, David Dimitri Johnson. We are live on that Facebook, David Dimitri Johnson on the Facebook. We are live. Yeah. So I'm gonna do a few things. I'm gonna put some things in play for you. So pay attention. We addressing these lies.
Lies are a necessity. They are the source of meaning, of belief and hope. Honestly, lies are sometimes the only reason I get out of bed. I'm particularly fond of the lies we tell ourselves. It's like the lie you are now concocting that somehow you'll survive being tossed into the void.
You're being tossed into the void. Y'all can give it up. You're about to get tossed into the void. You're getting tossed into the void of living in lies. You see how many souls are tossed into the void right now? I come, Celeste, benevolence and peace. You on here on the live stream, just logged in. The first individual to log in on the Instagram into this live stream. You got to give her props. You know what I'm saying? Give that individual, whether it's a male or female, props. AIKOMCCLEES. Benevolence, peace. Look, that phone number is the call-in number we're going to address. And if you look at the title that I put, these elections are fake. Who am I to say that? Oh, and you've heard that, of course. Well, I was a public diplomacy officer working for the United States government on 3 continents. Okay? So this isn't just talk. You're not just hearing from somebody with an opinion. You're hearing from somebody that know what the hell was really going on in action and had to pull out of that career because of the lies they wanted me to tell. The lies they wanted me to defend as a public diplomacy officer at multiple different embassies throughout Africa and Europe. They just playing games with your head. This election is playing games with your head, your pocketbook. But it's fun. It's fun. I'm not going to deny that it's fun. Elections are fun times. You know, presidential elections in the United States, prime ministers, because I lived in those other countries, I got to see how the elections go down in other countries. And then I had to do research on them. Then I even had simultaneously do public diplomacy campaigns covering those elections in other countries. That's right. Switzerland, South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe. You know what I'm saying? All these different countries, I had to do this for the United States government. the public diplomacy area is what's really the crazy shit about it, because the public diplomacy, a lot of people never even heard of that. Hold on, there's a actual government, a high-ranked government official, appointed official, administrative official. Administrative officials are mostly appointed if they're higher up in it. Hired or appointed, they're not elected. I just had to message them because they messaged me some information about the election. So pretty much I know who's going to win. It's going to be the Electoral College that decides it. That is going to be, yo, peace, benevolence. Thank you guys there on the Facebook. Thank you guys. Right now, I'm going to give you all your props. I'm saying your names, but remember the 909-446-2388 number is to call in if you got an opinion. This shit is some serious shit going on. And remember, I'm a political atheist. That's the most important thing for any of you that's new. I am a political atheist, and I suggest and encourage political atheism. Okay? I know you haven't been. As a political atheist, I encourage political atheism. Not only that, I am the author of The Art of Political Atheism, the book, and it's an actual book series. I actually pulled it off of Amazon and whatnot. You can still find some data on it on the website and different stuff. But daviddimitri.com is right there on the screen. I pulled out because I'm upgrading the book and releasing the second level of the book. There's levels. Why I call it level? Because we are leveling up. We ain't on that kid shit. We ain't on the I don't know what you want to call it or what y'all call it, but you know, they put a lot of, especially people of color, so to say, on some backward shit. Like, we need you guys, and that's why so many people have problems with that bullshit that's going on with Kamala Harris, is because it's some backward shit. But you know what? Donald Trump and them are on some pathetic backward shit too. And that's the basic. Hold on. Whoa. Did you hear that? That's what's the static they putting in your mind, because all they do is kicking static. They suck at MCs. They don't have good rhymes. You know what I'm saying? They fake. The elections are fake and whatnot. And so I'm here to like give you a perspective. I'm doing this. I know I don't usually talk about political stuff like that, but I'm here to give a perspective because a perspective is needed. Whether you like it or not, it's always great to have other perspectives. And so I'm going to go in on what this structured talk. And I just have a few. I'm waiting for a couple of other people to come in because they're going to actually call in. Excuse me. And so, look, public diplomacy is the coverage. I don't know what this is. And the reason why I'm giving you this information about that is the public diplomacy is what taught me how things really work. But because before I had my political science degrees and my master's in administrative law, I was actually a graduate in media. I was a CNN, Inland Empire, California, on-camera news reporter. You understand? This is the level I was before I even did World's Debate. I was a World's debater. And the reason why I'm giving you this background, so you can say to yourself, oh, he's worth listening to. And then I want you to do your research with a critical mind. Receive these messages, but be critical of me. Not of me, but of the message. Say, okay, I can feel that, but that part I have to look up. Therefore, you look up, you find out, what's the point? Because you might reproduce. I mean, you have children. You don't want them to be deceived by the government. The government is deceiving. I'm saying this right now, that the government is in a big business of deceiving, because there's hundreds of millions of people, human capital to manage. A polity, not a policy. A polity is a government structure, foundational structure, universal to all its districts in the United States, called states, but it should be called districts or governorships. You can call it what you want, but to call it states is only because they called it the United States. That's the only reason why they called it that. They didn't even want to call it that. I studied the founders very uniquely. They were still on the British and French terms of calling things. So in understanding that public diplomacy, I was hired, and it was because I already worked in Hollywood and in media journalism, and in Hollywood, and being a music artist all my life, being on stage, dealing with all the politics of that, knowing people like Tupac Shakur and KRS-One and these different people. It gave me going to these parties, doing street team and doing A&R assistant work with Sony, which was at that time was Def Jam West and East. Like, I was in there like swimwear, you know what I'm saying? I learned all that shit young, ended up going into journalism because in high school I was already doing it and doing librarian work while being a star football player and track runner. I've always been a very active person. So now that I gave you that, it's a reason, because I want you to understand, unlike other people, that I have a background in this. So if I'm talking to you, I am trying to benefit you. I'm going to give you what you can't get anywhere else. All right? Good. So let's go into this. The political atheism view helps you to skew through manipulation and deception. Okay? Like, it helps you to be able to realize the full truth, and it helps you to be objective, because you're encouraged to be polarized. In other words, to choose a side and to go into competitiveness. So we're dealing with, when you study political science like I have and teach it, there's high-level courses that aren't for regular political science studies and graduates. These teachings are called the psychological and neurological studies of politics. It is vitally important for a government to create polarization and to control the polarization within its nation state, and all those that adhere, even outside of the nation state, that focus their minds on what's going on with this specific country, whatever that country be. For us, it's United States of America, presidential election. Today's the voting day. So, great. This is where we're at with this. That is quite a challenge to understand. It could be a mind bend. But let's understand that you are what matter. Those of you on the different pages, because I'm going live on so many different pages right now, all of you have to understand it all matters is you. And I'm pretty sure you do. But ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance will kick you in your ass. And that's what's wrong right now with the society that we are in. People chose ignorance because of addiction. I too. Me too. Not putting nobody down. Right here in with you. I got issues. I'm not. And so we want to be conscious. We think back to the civil rights era. From the 50s through the 70s. It didn't end in the 60s. The 70s was still civil rights battle. Why are we where we're at? Because the government, and it's the reason why I'm saying this, the government needed to shut down the consciousness that the civil rights era pulled from the Second World War era and the Depression era. That civil rights era was an overflow of people that had been oppressed by the government. Because remember, the Depression happened because in 1913, the government came up with a terrible notion in the United States, and the world bankers, that they should have used the 14th Amendment, which was to keep states from enslaving people that were innocent and not considered criminals. In other words, to help keep African Americans, American natives, and others, and poor people from being slaves. They used that same amendment that was ratified in the Constitution of the United States to make, which was the 14th Amendment. They used it in 1913 through 14 under President Wilson to make corporations considered pseudo persons, so that human beings that have businesses can be shielded from any responsibilities of whatever happened in those businesses. And not only that, to get all kind of breaks. Now, in this day, everybody feel like that's a great thing. It was a terrible thing. Those robber barons, now known as the robber barons, yo, peace, Healing Hands Massage. Yo, we gotta link up because I need that hip treatment. We're gonna be linking up soon. Me and check with Healing Hands Massage 777 right there on the Instagram. He definitely help you if you need help with the massages. But I'm going in on a little bit of history because I'm gonna prove to you all that the elections is a fraud and a lot. And let me go back into what I was saying. 1913 through 14, they used the 14th Amendment in the Supreme Court to establish corporations as pseudo persons to protect the real persons behind those businesses of which that badge of corporations is applied to. Now, nowadays, we think it's so awesome. You get tax breaks. This is great. Wow, capitalism, awesome. Well, go back to your grandparents, all of you tuning into this, whether they were destroyed, annihilated, and tormented because of that. And remember, the same year, they also established the IRS, and they also established the federal bank, the pseudo government bank, the United States control grid banker that's connected to the Rothschilds and all that. So with these things in mind and thinking back to your own grandparents, you should not be happy with what this government has done. Delphi Priestess is mashing up the place. Alley Cat, the queen, is definitely vibrating. We all good. Akam Silas is definitely vibrating. Gratitude. We appreciate you all. Healing Hands. Everyone is love. So I'm going in. I'm going to prove these elections are falsitries. So we look at the 14th Amendment, how they established it. Remember, I have a master's in public administrative law. I have political science degrees on 2 continents. I study at the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. I study in an intelligence program in the United States. All right, I didn't have a normal education. And somebody talking about they've been to a traditional black college. Get more blacker than Africa. Okay, so listen to what I'm telling you. They fucked over your grandparents. They created monsters known as the Rothschilds. All right, thank you, Alley Cat. Now, these, remember everyone, you can call in 909-446-2388. Gratitude. So with creating all this and doing all this in the United States, reason why after doing that, a depression happened is because it sent, and this was purposeful. You have to understand what capitalism is. I keep telling people, empower yourself. A great read is Adam Smith's Doctrine of Capitalism. And then after reading that, directly read the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx. It's going to show you everything that you're living in prior to the information age. The industrial age and how it evolved, all is in that. There was no such thing as a nation or a nation state. That experiment started with Adam Smith suggesting it in his capitalistic doctrine. Go back to what I was saying, 14th Amendment established. They channeled all the finances to a few white men. Not families, just those grown, old, miserable men. They weren't even that old. They were like 50. They owned everything in this country. Then you had others that also benefited from it. Montgomery Ward, the Montgomery family and the Ward family. You have all those Sears, Levi. You have all the horse corporations that own and transported the horses. The railroad owners, which was one, it wasn't owners. All the money went to them, all the wealth. And none of them at any form or fashion cared about anybody else. That wasn't what they did. They were complete monsters of what you call a human and what's humane. They said every N word, every H word, honky, every nigger, every spick, that's an Indian or a Hispanic, every kike, which is a Jew. They didn't say the positive names of which we are. They said to themselves, the negative thoughts of us is the reason why I'm using those terrible terms. And they said, let them starve, let them suffer. This is what they did. Wall Street crashed. They purposely crashed it, them and the Rothschilds. Why did they survive it? Because them and the Rothschilds agreed on it. Then they can reset everything at the behest of the suffering of the masses of people. Why is he telling us this? What does this have to do with the elections? Relax. I'm going to take you there. I'll take you there. All right? I'm going to take you there. So, speeding up everything, we go into the civil rights movements, like I was saying, and that attitude and consciousness about we have to have knowledge of self, knowledge of the world, knowledge of Satan and the bad things of the world, and have knowledge of self-determination as groups of people that were the traditional people that suffered through the Depression and World War II. And, of course, World War I, and prior to that, the Civil War. We got fucked all the way up. If you had any dark-skinned melanin blood in you, you got fucked on the hell up. You suffered. I'm talking about after. And so what keep happening is, what I'm pointing out to you is that there's an incline and a decline. So in the incline, look, capitalism, look, our technology. We have these things called TVs. They're programmings. Before they called it broadcasting, they call it programming. Remember, I have a degree in media, multiple degrees in media before I got my political science and administrative and government working. So they programmed you. Now the social media not only programs you, it creates a database on your specific attitudes, consciousness, ideas, perspectives, views, and behaviors, and history of you. Then they took your blood when you had an accident or you were a child or whatever. They took your DNA blood and they sent it to Helsinki, or a United States version of Helsinki, which is an underground bunker city where they have everyone's DNA, like the mythological story of Noah's Ark, which is really a later version, a dumbed down version of the Ismail Malik story of Samaria about the DNA storage. They took the DNA from the animals and stored them. But then to dumb it down because they wanted people stupid. So we're talking about dumbing you down, being stupid, making us stupid. It started long ago, thousands of years ago. Biblical, that book that we all love so much. We rub it on our pineal gland. We rub it on our hearts and souls. Hello? Am I reaching you? So they gonna reboot you if they want in the future colonies after the nuclear wars. They can reboot your ass like the movie. I keep repeating this. The movie with Wesley Snipes. He was the bad guy. Bruce Willis was the good guy. Demolition Man. They rebooted Wesley Snipes. They had his DNA, but they had got all his consciousness and they had all the information on how he behaved, and they infused all his history into that DNA and grew him. And he just was like came out of the pot a more powerful version than he was before they put him to death. So the nuclear bomb wiping everybody out, they're gonna just make clone versions of you in the future. Why? What does that have to do with the election? It's a manipulation, but I haven't proved it to you yet. I'm still gonna have to deal with the government part of it. And the history is pulling us close. They want to wipe out your attitudes of liberation, revolution, and liberation. So in ancient Kemet, let's get into the indigenous. The ancient Kemet teaching is Jehuti Seshat, known to others as the god Jehuti, thought, Tahuti is really Jehuti, just like Jedi is actually the Jedi with a D. So Jehuti and Seshat is the queen god of wisdom. Jehuti is the male god of knowledge, supreme. So you fuse those together, you have revolution and resolution. Revolution and resolution. There's no resolution unless there's a revolution. You getting it? There is no Messiah Christ Haru. There's no Haru Hektai. There's no Tammuz. There's no Krishna. There's no Yahashua, Isa, Jesus, Jesus, unless there's a problem to be solved. There has to be problems to be solved. So we need that. So that fits into this knowledge set also. Wanting to prove to you these elections are false. It's fraudulent. It's part of a story. We are stories. You are stories. I am a story being told. We are prophecies to be fulfilled. But if we don't do that, then we missed our point. Imagine passing away only to find out that you missed it all. The whole reason you came here and was reincarnated from the future was so that you could fulfill certain, I mean, you have your own normal life, right? And your own limited capabilities and your needs, not desires, but needs. You need to eat, you need to laugh, you need to be happy, you need to sleep, you need to exercise, you need challenges. You see, but you don't want to pass on out of this and just find out, oh, you're going to have to go back and it's going to be worse in the future. You're going to have to take on it because that was easy compared to what you got to do. So that's the reason why you take your time out and listen to the people that's talking like what I'm talking right now. I know I don't talk like this all the time, but what's going on is they want to kill out our spirit of liberation and revolution because they don't want revolution and resolution. Kill the liberation spirit in you. In other words, kill the warrioress and high priestess in you. Kill the warrior and priest in you. And now people care so much, and I don't mean to put people down, but people care more about experimenting with fucking sex. How does sex become more important to you than you? Like, who falls for that? Who falls for that? It was the difference from sniffing coke and sex and when eating or heroin. It's all taking over your fucking life. Enjoy sex. Enjoy all of it. Part of enjoying is not have to look over your shoulder and not have to be worried. So we all experiment and do what we do, but we do not want to hurt ourselves and others, right? So governments don't roll like that. So we're going to prove to you this mass deception and the implementation of it. So the bombardment of over information in the United States, that's another part of it I'm going to have to put in. I'm trying to squeeze this into an hour because the Instagram cuts off. So what is very important to understand is China, and this is a great example, China and Russia. China's a historical open government that openly said, hey, we do oppressive things. We kill off masses of our people. We do this and this and this because we have to compete with those that are trying to destroy our government and enslave our people. Right? They called it communism. Well, capitalism, is, if you read, is a total manipulative, deceptive thing to make you think you're free. Turn you against each other, force you to live in little close range where you got all these criminals amongst your own people that are picking on all the positive ones. And then to keep you like that on slave quarters, known as plantations, for hundreds of years, while they're until they're done killing off all the American natives and taking all their land. You notice all that happened at once. The Civil War and the ending of slavery happened just when they had destroyed off all the Indians and all the lands in the United States. People ain't piecing things together. I am, because I'm not they tool. You understand? So what we do is get a grip on the reality of this, that they want to kill off that spirit. But back to the facts about the administrative implementation, the military implementation, the intelligence agency, CIA, FBI, NSA implementation of a mass deception on your mind to believe you're living free in a free government. That's a work in process. It's all of it's fake. There's no work in process. And that to manipulate you to think that technology is the reason why you're free also. So you're free because you have technology. You're that stupid to us. You're free because we give you a phone to watch your every move. And guess what? Now Neuralink, Elon Musk, Neuralink, and his robots also in his cars, every move you make, every step you take, they be slapping the shit out of you with fines, taxes, disguised taxations called fines, arrest, imprisonments, closing of your bank accounts. You understand? Yo, peace, Dr. Jamal Montgomery, rising up in the house. Gratitudes. So we're breaking down a historical look into how the elections are a big mass fraudulent game. And it is, and we still should vote. Absolutely. We still should participate while you're all here. You know, the Instagram cuts off in an hour anyway, so I'm about 20 minutes into it. You should vote. I voted. And I voted in a way that you wouldn't even probably be able to respect or understand, unless you understand that I have a free mind and I have the right to think how I want to think. And then I prioritize my thoughts because I have conscious competence. I'm not dealing with things subconsciously or just emotionally or logically. I have a balance of the intuition and then I have a background in public diplomacy. I have a background in studies internationally in politics on different levels, international humanitarian law, political economy, the psychology and neurology of politics. I'm not dealing with the basics. I should vote. I know voting is a lower level activity of politics. I repeat, voting is a very low level of political activity. We should all be way beyond that, especially if we're melanoids, known as black people. 14th Amendment, run back a little bit of what I said. Going forward from them creating the IRS, creating the Federal Reserve, creating a 14th Amendment and misusing it to create corporation and this and this. And in this era, we happy that we get corporation breaks, of course. But the fact of the matter, when they did it, they were empowering what's known as robber barons, and they starved out people so long that it was known and crashed Wall Street purposely with the Rothschilds, and they fucked everybody up, especially our ancestors, those of us that are the historically oppressed people, the black people in this country. So we're going to move forward past that. We know we went through that. We have the liberation spirit. I just talked about the consciousness of liberation and whatnot. And so now the consciousness of liberation right now, like it or not, is using this technology in innovative ways and upgrading your means of finances, which is crypto. You know what I mean? Blockchain means getting into the future technology of currencies and trade and resource management, because ultimately we're all human resources. We are part of the human capital. So we got to get with the game. You either get your money or it gets you. Fuck around and find out. Because you pro-black, I don't care if you're American, I don't care if you're pro-Latino, pro-female, as soon as you get broke and you get into bad neighborhoods, you get fucked with by the zombies. Okay? So you can play with it like you want and be overly I'm just spiritual and get your ass real fucked up, not having your karma right and not having, and part of it is managing resources and taking on challenges. So what does this all have to do with proving the elections are fake and false? I gave you all that history. I even taught you about the administrative state and the history of that, not just the history of how we were affected. And then I gave you knowledge of self-determination, our liberation consciousness, the warrior consciousness to survive, how it's being killed out. And that's why so many black men don't want to vote for Kamala Harris, because she want to be supporting people that want to turn all these black men gay. We're not fucking retarded. And then who are the straight women going to be with? And who's going to reproduce? And remember, I was just talking about the big brother conspiracy type reality. Well, if it was such a fucking conspiracy, why did the Depression happen? If it was such a fucking conspiracy, why did World War I and World War II happen? Why are all those Congolese boys and little girls up in their mines right damn now for getting some cobalt, which they'll never get nothing out of? Because it's a huge agenda. And we got to participate. You can't be heartbroken, get this information, all that's conspiracy, that's negative. No, you got to participate. I started this with the attitude of gratitude. I always do. You can't get caught up in the clutter of your mind. I just told you, my Chinese investor friends that I lived with, had property with, right here, some Tongs. Look up the history of the Tongs in the United States. Yeah, look them up. Them is my people. They taught me what's going on in China. I'm supposed to be going. And so they hold back information from them because they are traditionally a communist state. They don't let them get certain information, get certain influences. It's not because they just want to control them. It's because it starts problems amongst the people with themselves. But people in the United States government want to lie to you in the media, which before I had my political science, I was a journalist for CNN. I know this shit. I'm a public diplomacy officer on 3 continents. I know this shit. They don't let them get all these influences and all this shit like what Jack Ma was doing. Look him up. Because they got to compete. They're going to get overran by the Europeans like our black asses did. They're not having it because they're in a position not to get fucked on over like that. All right? The nation state experiment is just an experiment. It used to be empires and all that. I'm going to keep reminding you these little things so your consciousness can become more powerful after hearing from me. Now, the tragedy that we're going to move past and stay in that positivity, because like I said, you should vote, you should participate, but you have to, why? So that you could be out there and see how this shit works. so you can get with the program so that you can make a splash. Remember, I was talking spiritually about you have to make prophecy. You have to fulfill prophecy. How? You don't know nothing because you just one of these people that never got started, so you don't have to quit. That's right. You never got started, so you don't have to quit. Ain't that the crack era mentality? Now, if anybody got the right to say, well, I'm not going to vote, it's somebody historically known as Black American. But that's not what we doing. That's not my point, even though I'm pointing out all this harsh shit. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm trying to encourage you to fulfill the prophecy. Get active. Now, it is a big farce. We know about the Matrix. It is a big farce. We make shit real. Let me give you an example. It's such a political psychology, a political religion. White nationalists, yada, yada, Donald Trump's folks, right? White nationalists, political religion. Well, let's go to regular religion, so-called spiritual religion. You believe that. You fight for that. You sacrifice for that. The Inquisitions, tormenting their own people. And then it turned into manifest destiny, going around the world and tormenting all the other humans and taking everything they had and claiming they did it and claiming they invented it. Think about that's all coming. The consciousness is bringing you to a matrix type reality, a reality where you're damn. I'm doing that on purpose. Because you have to understand people are planning and plotting and implementing, planning and plotting and implementing, planning and plotting and implementing, terraforming the reality, turning it from us living in nature, eating healthy foods to eating shit that we end up dying from. So how in the fuck would they not how can the elections be real to benefit you? That's the gamble. You either not get started in life because of how corrupted this shit is, if you were born and raised in the fucking dungeon like me, a terrible, tore up family like I had, a tore up life, coming from the worst neighborhoods only. But I chose to get started because it was something I had. It's called talent. We're the capital. We're the human capital. Just like the movie The Matrix. So we have to participate because you don't want the zombies to get you. Because jealousy is ruling over our people in the lower level neighborhoods. The poverty neighborhoods. Look how fucked up we treat each other competing in the middle class and in corporation scenarios. Yada, yada. Remember, this is all for a reason. This is not to turn you negative against me or against yourself or against the elections. It's in fact to get you started. So stick with me. So we're going to go back. We're going to get off of personalizing. We're going to get back into where we're at now in the information age. We went from I gave you the whole background and the development of the administrative state, the implementing of the specific laws, the tragedy, historical tragedy periods of time in the United States. I didn't even have to mention slavery. Who don't know about that? So the information age comes in. Elections start getting controlled or implemented with the technology as it should. It should. That's why we need to participate wholeheartedly to get ours. Yet you keep your health. I know I'm not supposed to be personalizing it. We're gonna stick with where we're at. The technology is influencing everything. It's all vibrating. It's all happening in true time. Why every 4 years? 95% of all policies and all presidents are exactly the same. Each president, procession to a new president, are keeping 95% of all the same policies. It's a polity. We live in a polity. We don't live in a fucking election. We don't live in a presidential rule. We don't live in a governor rule. a mayoral rule. We don't live in a Senate rule, a Congress rule. We live in a polity, which has public and private. Private is the super myth of capitalism, of which you could say, I'm going to be a communist, or I'm just going to be against the system. I'm going to be a socialist. But you still got to deal with it. Or you could be like, I'm going to get mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting this paper, I'm getting this money, I'm all into this. And nowadays that would be crypto. You know what I'm saying? Investing. You know what I'm saying? It's even people that get on the dark end of it and start selling pills, illegal pills, legal drugs. You see, let's not act like that don't exist. Now, the technology within the elections evolved from the 90s, use of computers, the 80s, use of computers, 90s allowed use of computers and mail-in. The 90s allowed mail-in voting. Soon, you're going to be able to pick up and type in your vote. They're not fucking with that yet. So, why isn't the morals and ethics lining up with the technological advancements? Why are not, after all the shit that heterosexual black Americans did, let's just go back to World War II. During World War II, but really, black Americans saved the country from the Depression. The Depression was created by white men known as robber barons. It was saved, like it or not, from black Americans that were saving lives of other Americans because they already knew how to survive in such terrible squalor. All right? Where are we at today? Will that happen again? Did you see what's happening? It's manifesting again. Why is the technology advancing, but the laws and the behaviors of the masses of the people is not evolving? What the fuck? It's so what they convinced you and me is that human beings are just fucked up. So what do? You have to adapt to hypercapitalism. And reason why I'm saying you have to realize you represent 10 million people. Each and every one of you represent 10 million people in my study, because my administrative focus was on research and law for my master's degree. So each and every one of you represent 10 million people for me. Literally. That's the way I see you. So when I see Glorilla and Hawk fucking Hogan and all these crazy motherfuckers with the president, you are the people of who you acquaint yourself with, who you hang with, who you do with. Hawk Hogan, Trump, Glorilla, Harris. Is something wrong with me? Because I don't fuck with them like that. But you can look at my Stacey Adams in the room, because you know what I'm saying? I'm on my Ric Flair, $1 million man. I ain't on no funny shit, that Hulk Hogan shit. And I'm with the MC Light. I'm not with Glorilla or none of them. I'm with MC Light. You know what I'm saying? Legends. Lauryn Hill, Tupac Shakur. That's purposeful. Dumb them down. So count yourself as part of those 10, the leader of the 10 million that are too smart for the dumb shit. Remember, I authored the book, The Art of Political Atheism, which I pulled off the shelves internationally because I had an entire another book written, and they're going to come out as a series at once. I will make more Dulo off of it. Money. Back to what I was pointing out. Information aid, technology, influencing and being used for the elections. Back to what I was saying, the TV used to be called programming, not broadcasting. Radio was called programming, not broadcasting, because it was ran by the government. They were programming the minds of the people during the wars, so they can make sure they're prepping their sons to go die for the wars. You understand? Etc., etc. Whatever the thing is, to tell them to hate the black and mistreat the black people and feel good about it. Whatever to program the black people to think that they're lesser. That's what was going on with radio and TV. But like I said, now it takes the information from you. It's called social media. It's called the internet. You are defining yourself to a database every time you express yourself on the internet or behave in any form and fashion, whether a consumer or a profiter from it. Database of you. You getting it? So electorally, they know who you are. They're using this to define everyone. There's this 4-year attention addiction. Attention is not just being addicted to getting attention. Attention is also an addiction of giving attention. So now we want to give ourselves over to polarization. I'm this side, I'm that side. You ain't heard me say I give a fuck about any of them. Just fuck them. Because they ain't paid me. But I see a lot of people picking sides. I know they getting paid. Not everybody, but trust, these heads that are big and popular, I'm not going to say their names on the internet and social media, they got paid to suddenly switch over to Donald Trump or to suddenly switch over to Kamala Harris. You better believe that. But why is it fake? Our attention is the energy that the matrix, which is keeping all this, the simulator prime. Look up a Facebook page called Simulator Prime. I created that years ago because I worked on the production of Transformers, the first film, way back in the early 2000s. I've always been a Transformer fan. I wrote a damn film called that, Simulator Prime. I own it. And I've been trying to get them to make that their final movie, or to fuck around and try to steal some of it so that I can sue their ass and be in the fucking money. But my point is, the government is a level of that consciousness controlling us. The elections are a level of that, a representative and an event, spatio-temporal zone. We're getting metaphysical, spatio-temporal zone event, where it riles us up in the polarization against one another. Identity. It's just like the farce of the nation state. I love it. I love how I got my friends, because I live in all these countries. They could get with American women just because they're from another country, a nation state. They could get with American guys because they're from a nation state, a different nation state. The same thing when you're in your country, they're going to give you love because you're from the United States. But then when it goes bad, they put you down because you're not from their country. They let you down because you're not from their country. People compete. That's called the nation state experience. They're giving you a fake ass identity. So you care more about being a fucking Puerto Rican, an American. You care more about being a Canadian. And come to find out, the founders agreed on a few things. The founders of the United States. And one of them is that they did not want the United States to be part of the nation state experiment. They were forced into it. And all of us running around here, priding ourselves and identifying with that, need to really take it in the stride. We have to participate. We are Americans, I know. But so are Mexicans America, because Mexico is part of Central America. Canadians are Americans. So let's call ourselves United States of Americans, right? but it's fake identity. And this is part of the control of your consciousness, because now you're a Republican or a Democrat. Well, why, when you study political science all over the world like I have, do you find out there's no other country so damn regressive that it only has two major parties? That's mind-bending. You know how disenfranchised groups and factions of people are, because they can't even they're not even allowed to create their own party in the United States, because if you don't have enough funding and the right people to acknowledge you as a party, then you're never going to be a party, which means the fraud will continue. This two-headed snake fighting each other over what? The human capital, which are what? The intentions. We're paying with our attention. We're paying with our attention. Every 4 years, we're paying with our attention, our energy. It's the most important thing of our lives. And if you say, oh, not me, well, guess what? You represent 10 million people. It's what, 500 million almost people in the United States? You have prisons full of millions of people in the United States. So the Matrix, the simulator prime, is the AI. And what did I teach y'all last time? No human beings invented AI. Thousands of years ago, non-human, non-biochemical, conscious beings that actually conducted themselves in and out of our dimensions, interdimensional travel and all that shit, they took control and they launched a war on our planet to take control of this world, planet, whatever you want to call it. I don't call it either. But what we're dealing with is this myth and these lies. Just as much as a white Jesus is a lie, or a savior coming from the sky is a lie. So the same as a fucking election in the United States for a president is a fucking lie. It's just part of this simulator AI game. The lie that human beings invented artificial intelligence. Why is it that I'm the one to tell you that human beings did not invent artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence created mankind. Human beings and mankind are two different things. Hue, that means melanin. We're the originator of nature. We're nature observing itself. The Almighty that you call God is nature of nature. We're that in a nature form, so we're nature observing itself. But the Almighty is nature of nature. You getting it? Then you're dealing with these intruders, which are the inverse. So their main Siths, S-I-T-H, they're controlling this whole fucking thing. They are AI. They've been AI for thousands of years. Artificial intelligence. They fucked you over, got you believing this and that and fighting for this and that, fighting each other over this and that. What's the difference? Crippin' and blood and Republican and Democrat. It is still blue and red. You know what I'm saying? They just playing with you. They just playing with everybody. It's about human capital. Long as we're actively living out these syndromes, like the movie and TV series called Alicant. What's the name of that series? Westworld. Look at Westworld, and it tells you everything of what's going on. Dude, how can the elections be real if none of this shit is fucking real? This shit will continue. Even and you really think that they're never going to drop nuclear bombs? You think crypto money can save you? It can, temporarily. We have to do it. You got to get your money. You got to get your finance and keep money activity. New level every day, new level every time. But at the same time, that's what makes you a master. You're a Jedi, because you can balance all this shit at once. So I'm encouraging you when I say the elections are fake. Hell yeah, it's fake. But without emotional investment and without giving all your attention, find out which side do you vote for and choose because of your own specific chosen benefit. Not a group benefit. You represent 10 million people. Believe it. If not more, you might represent 100 million people because of the level of consciousness you're on. And we doing demography. When I'm speaking that way, I'm speaking of demography. That was something I had to study. And so the AI created all this. The AI is already controlling this. When the AI is ready, the nuclear bombs are going to go. It's already a designated date. It's just part of the fantasy we're living in. But we have to participate because, like I said earlier, when you pass away, you don't want to be one of those that have to get reincarnated to a future, then it's going to be worse. You're going to be at the nuclear bomb that already had. Here you go reincarnating. The nuclear bomb that already happened and everybody fighting to survive against fucking machines. And you got to reincarnate because you didn't believe nothing that crazy nigga said. You didn't believe nothing he said. You didn't listen to him because what is it? What's the main thing our people like to say? Crazy. He crazy. She crazy. Yeah, that because you don't want to do the thinking. You know, you don't want to do the thinking. It's too much for you. So they crazy if it's too much for you. I'm telling you, this shit is going to crash and the nation state experiments to a fucking end. Everybody talking about the United States is coming declining. The whole fucking nation state experiment is ending. They're on an economic design from the 1600s. And we're in 2024 and we're still trying to conduct ourselves and grow with the economic designs from the 1600 when it was slavery. And you think this shit ain't fucked up? Listen, the AI is controlling all this shit. It's a movie. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Donald Trump. The Republicans don't even have nobody fucking else to run. That's how you know the whole fucking thing is coming to an end. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin ain't no fucking punk. And neither is Yang over there in China, and the other guy in North Korea, and the Iranians and Israelis. These places ain't no kid and fun and games. I lived in these countries during elections. I studied and did research and did multiple different studies on presidential and prime ministerial elections in Southern Hemisphere countries and in Europe. Jamaica was one of them. And you telling me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about? Somewhere in your subconscious, you doubt me. You going into fucking World War III and the Second Civil War. And you doubting me ain't gonna do shit to stop it. It is the AI that designed it. Didn't know people create that shit. Elon Musk is a front puppet man. Entrepreneurship and capitalism didn't build the world we live in or the technology. Genocide did. Lying did. Deception, covering up genocides. Taking what was others, claiming it for yourself, lying and saying you invented everything. And you wondering why nothing is changing? When it comes to the morals, the only thing changing is technology. When it comes to ethics, technology. The laws aren't working. The prisons are filled with people. And you think the election is real? I'm questioning your ability to connect your conscious ego mind with your subconscious, which will be a total self-polarization. I'm questioning that in you if you doubt me. The AI could not have been invented by people. They playing with you. They're easing the AI, the technology, all that it is, this transformer-like being is revealing it, controlling everything. I call it the simulator prime. It's revealing its fucking self. Decade by decade, it's revealing more about what it's capable of. But that same motherfucker is the one that has been controlling the whole shit since the European took over the world. And I hope you have a great day. And I hope you vote. And I hope you realize you need to be active. You need a fire and the light need to be turned on with you. And you need to be fire. You need to burn a fire in this motherfucker before you leave it. And quit trying to be politically correct. And burn down the spirits, sabotaging you from reaching your potential because you got to get to that Bob Marley Tupac point, that Harriet Tubman level. Before you pass on, you're going to have to bite dirt and sacrifice if you want to be these desires to be rich in this world. In the next world, you got to be the same. The next incarnation, you don't want to be incarnated after the nuclear war fighting with the machines. You don't want to be incarnated then. You want to be incarnated in that future Owu, the golden age, where we'll get the world back and be living in peace and happiness. But you're going to have to make your decision. So the AI is putting up a lot of head games, a lot of mass mind control, and the elections is one of them. I proved it to you. It's impossible humans made AI. AI been here. That's what's been doing all this. It's just, we're getting so smart, we're upgrading that we can see things for what it is, so it can't hide certain things no more. Just like it couldn't hold us on them plantations no more. It had to revamp, like, oh, this shit ain't working. It's about to destroy everything we created in these lands. Not talking about the nation state. I'm talking about the whole races of people that had came and stole all the lands. Ultimately, it's a Sith. And the Sith are the AI. That's a artificial intelligence. You get it? The robots can get flesh put on them that Elon Musk just revealed. They can get those dog robots and those humanoids, they could put flesh on them like this over the steel, like the Terminator movies. And you don't even have to know. Or they could be cyborgs, clones. So the election is a fraud. It's a fraud. And, you know, Instagram's about to cut off. I'm about to get off of here. Thank y'all. Take it for what you want. Take it or leave it. I will be proven right.